Most men don't say they're lonely. Not because they don't feel it, not because they don't have emotions, and not because they don't know how to talk. They don't say it because loneliness doesn't feel like a feeling. It feels like failure. And failure, for a man, is not natural. It's not something you casually admit. It's something you hide. Here's what makes this uncomfortable. Most lonely men are not alone. They're married. They have coworkers. They're in group chats. They show up to weddings, birthdays, and dinners. From the outside, nothing looks wrong. But late at night, when everything goes quiet, there's a thought that keeps looping. If I stopped reaching out, if I disappeared for a few weeks, would anyone actually need me? Would anyone actually miss me or feel bad? That difference is everything. For men, loneliness is not interpreted as, I need a connection. It's interpreted as, I'm falling behind. Behind other men, behind expectations, behind where they thought they'd be by now. And falling behind isn't just uncomfortable, it's threatening, because male belonging has always been conditional. Historically, men were included when they were competent, or when they were useful, or when they were reliable. Men didn't bond by sitting in circles talking about feelings. They bonded while hunting, building, defending, and providing. Belonging came after contribution. If you couldn't contribute, you didn't belong. That rule never disappeared. It just stopped being spoken out loud. So when a man feels disconnected, his nervous system doesn't say, go talk to someone. It says, fix yourself. Fix your body, fix your career, fix your finances, fix your usefulness. Connection gets postponed until he's worthy again. This isn't a personality flaw, it's biology. When men experience social exclusion, the brain doesn't activate comfort-seeking circuits. It activates threat circuits. The same areas involved in physical danger light up. So the response isn't vulnerability, it's withdrawal. Silence becomes protection. That's why men don't think, I feel lonely. They think, I'm losing. And once loneliness equals loss, asking for help feels like confirming it. This is why loneliness often appears after marriage. A man gets married, his social world collapses into work and home. Friends don't disappear dramatically, they fade. Text threads go quiet. Meetups stop being spontaneous. Emotional support becomes centralized into one relationship. And here's the thought many married men never say out loud, I can't tell my wife I feel lonely. She already has enough to deal with. So he doesn't. He becomes stable, contained, low maintenance. Friends turn into logistical contacts. His wife becomes the only emotional outlet. The system works until it doesn't. The moment stress, conflict, or distance enters the relationship, loneliness spikes instantly. Not because the marriage failed, but because there was no backup system. Now look at men who are doing well. Career's solid, income's up, lifestyle looks impressive. From the outside, this should solve loneliness. It doesn't. It often makes it worse. Old friends feel awkward. Conversations become performative. Struggling feels illegal. Many successful men report the same internal rule. I have no right to complain, so they stop talking. Status raises the cost of vulnerability. This is why elite athletes, CEOs, and public figures repeatedly describe loneliness at the peak, not the bottom. Achievement doesn't buy belonging. It changes the rules. There's also a very specific age where this accelerates. Your 30s, friends get married, kids arrive, careers intensify, energy drops, spontaneity disappears, group chats go quiet, meetups require weeks of planning. Emotional depth doesn't deepen, it evaporates. Men don't feel rejected, they feel irrelevant, and irrelevance is far harder to admit than rejection. Then there are men who are depended on. Parents rely on them, spouses rely on them, children rely on them, teams rely on them. Loneliness becomes inconvenient. They learn, my feelings create instability. Stability is my responsibility. So they erase themselves emotionally. Withdrawal gets disguised as maturity. Silence gets labeled strength. Stress becomes permanent background noise. This didn't happen randomly. For most of the 20th century, men had spaces where connection didn't require emotional exposure. Trade unions, local clubs, men's group, shared labor. Between the 1980s and now, those spaces collapsed. Nothing replaced them. At the same time, friendship got redefined as emotional disclosure. Talking, sharing, opening up. That model works better for women. Men weren't refusing to connect. The rules changed, and no one gave them a replacement. This is why so many men say, I have friends, but no one really knows me. And once a man realizes that his belonging is conditional, based on usefulness, stability, or performance, silence starts to feel rational, because saying, "I'm lonely," doesn't sound like a request for connection. It sounds like an admission of decline. Once a man realizes that his belonging is conditional, something shifts inside him. He doesn't suddenly become cold. He doesn't stop wanting connection. He just stops asking for it, because now he understands the cost. This is where most advice completely falls apart. When people say, "You should just talk about it," they mean well. But for many men, talking doesn't bring relief. It brings regret. When a man finally admits he's lonely, one of a few things usually happens. Sometimes the room goes quiet. The other person doesn't know what to say, and the silence stretches just a little too long. Sometimes the response is practical. Advice shows up immediately, and solutions appear first instead of understanding. And sometimes the shift is so subtle it's almost invisible. A change in tone, a different energy the next time they talk, a small distance that wasn't there before. Nothing dramatic happens, but the man feels it instantly, and he learns something without ever saying it out loud. Okay, that's not something I should say again. This is why men don't open up frequently. One experience like that is enough, because in male social worlds, being seen as weaker doesn't feel natural. It feels risky. So silence starts to feel smarter than honesty. Over time, most men discover something else about themselves. They feel safest when they're useful, when they're competent, when they have a clear place inside something that's moving forward. Not when they are admired nor comforted, but when they are needed. This isn't emotional immaturity. It's how their nervous system finds safety. That's also why connection feels different for men when it happens side by side, instead of face to face. When men are shoulder to shoulder, working on something, training together, building toward a goal, or struggling through something shared, there's no spotlight. No one is being examined. No one is confessing weakness. No one is trying to say the right thing. The pressure drops. Conversation happens naturally. Jokes land without effort. Silences don't feel awkward, and without anyone forcing it, something real starts to form. This is why certain environments quietly change men's lives. Not because they're emotional spaces, but because they're functional ones. Places where effort matters, where progress is visible, where everyone carries a piece of the load, like skill-based communities, physical challenges, or projects that actually go somewhere, situations where showing up counts. In those spaces, men don't have to explain themselves. Their presence already makes sense. It's also why so many men notice the same thing, even if they can't explain it. They feel better after, playing on a team, building something with other people, working toward a shared goal. Even if no one talked about feelings, even if nothing deep was said, something inside them settles, because their place was restored. This is where another quiet mistake shows up. Many men are pushed into putting all of their emotional weight onto one relationship, often a spouse, sometimes a single close friend. It sounds healthy, but it's actually fragile. Because when that one connection weakens, through stress, conflict, distance, or life, everything collapses at once. Men don't need intensity, they need redundancy. Multiple places to belong, different roles, different contexts, so no single relationship carries the entire weight of their emotional world. That's how loneliness becomes manageable instead of overwhelming, and this leads to the most important shift of all. The goal isn't opening up, the goal is identity expansion, becoming more than a provider, a performer, a role everyone expects you to play. When a man has multiple identities, multiple contributions, and multiple places where he matters, something powerful happens. Status anxiety drops. Stress quiets down. Social risk starts to feel safer. Connection stops feeling dangerous, not because he forced himself to be vulnerable, but because losing one role no longer threatens everything. Here's the reframe most men never hear. Loneliness is not proof that something is wrong with you. It's proof that your belonging became conditional and fragile. That's not a personal flaw, that's a system problem. And systems can be rebuilt, not by shaming men into talking, not by telling them to try harder, and not by forcing emotional exposure before safety exists, but by restoring contribution, function, role, and redundancy. Emotion follows naturally, once the ground is stable again. Men don't stay silent because they're broken. They stay silent because, historically, silence was safer than decline. Understanding that changes everything. It replaces shame with clarity, and confusion with direction. If this video gave language to something you felt for years but never knew how to explain, share it with someone who needs it, not to fix them, but to let them know they're not weak for feeling this way. They were just never given the right map. And if you want more honest, grounded explanations about the parts of life men are expected to carry quietly, subscribe, because silence isn't strength. Understanding is.